Welcome to Chapter 5, demo video number 1, and this video will demonstrate the calculation of FUTA and SUTA tax based on the state, and we will have 4 different scenarios. So before I get into the actual calculation of each, I've got some information here and information here based on some states, the credit reduction and the FUTA rates. And this I took from the textbook, and this is the examples and details of what we're going to be going through. And before I go into it, let's go ahead and look at some information based on FUTA and SUTA. So basically, FUTA taxes are levied on employers. The amount is based on the taxable earnings of each employee. FUTA taxes are used to supply compensation to individuals who recently lost their jobs. So keep in mind while you're working on homework that certain compensation like those paid to agricultural workers, governmental employees, and employees of religious organizations are exempt from FUTA tax. Like OASDI tax, like what we had learned last semester, FUTA taxes also has a cap of $7,000, which I had stated up here. And once an employee has reached the $7,000 threshold, no FUTA tax is levied then on the employee, in which the employer would have to pay. The FUTA tax rate is 6%, but the employer may choose to take a credit against the 6% by paying state unemployment taxes. So by paying state unemployment taxes, the actual FUTA tax rate is 0.6%, which is the difference of 6% minus 5.4%, which is what had been or mentioned in your textbook. Now there are other credit reductions as well, which we will engage in within this demonstration video, and we will be using this table here. So for example, for the state of Delaware, the state reduction for the state of Delaware would be 0.6% or 1.2%. The state, and with these states listed here, we'll be using 1.5% and so on. And this table are 2013's numbers. 2014's numbers were not available at the time when the text printed, so that's why we have 2013. As far as SUTA taxes rates go, employers are assigned to a designated tax rate based on employee turnover rates by their state, which is at the beginning of the year. So keep in mind that the SUTA tax rates can range from 0% to as high as 12.27%. And as you can see in each scenario, the SUTA tax rate will be given to us. And if nothing is given to us, let's assume that SUTA tax rates will be 3.4% and a threshold of $8,500 is across the board. But in some of these situations, the threshold and the tax rate will be given to us. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at number 1. Let's do this. Okay, so number 1. For each of the following independent circumstances, calculate both a FUTA and SUTA tax owed by the employer. So number 1, an employer in Statesboro, Georgia, employs 2 people. Those taxable earnings to date prior to the current pay period are $4,000 and $7,900. During the current pay period, these employees earn $3,120 and $1,400 respectively. The applicable SUTA tax rate is 3.1%, and the 2013 Georgia SUTA threshold is $9,500. So I'm going to go ahead and do this because we are talking about 2 employees. So employee number 1, I'm going to do here, and let's do employee number 2 over here. Okay, so we can tell the difference. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight this in that blue color so you can go ahead and we can color code this later on for ourselves. Try to do this as easy as possible for you guys. Okay, so for employee number 1, FUTA tax. Okay, so for the FUTA taxes for employee number 1, looks like so far they've made $4,500. Okay, right here. So that, and they make, for that period, they made $3,120. So let's go ahead, because that 4,500 is a little close to, because if we add 4,500 to their total gross amount, it's going to be over 7,000. So let's take 7,000 and let's subtract what they've made so far. Okay. Okay, so far, this is the amount that's going to be taxable. Not the entire $3,120. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2,500 times 1.5%. And 2,500 is the amount under FUTA. So the FUTA tax would be 2,500 times 1.5%, which is $37.50. Okay, and let's look at SUTA then. For SUTA, the employee so far has made $4,500, and the threshold for SUTA is $9,500. So let's go ahead and add $4,500 to $3,120. So far, earnings to date, including this pay period, is only $7,620. So the entire $7,620 would be taxable under SUTA at the 3.1%. For a total of the $3,120. Did I put the entire thing? Yes, I did. Okay, so $96.72 for the SUTA tax. Okay, so these are the amounts that we are looking for. These two right here. Let me just highlight it and bold it so we know that we have calculated the two amounts we are looking for. FUTA tax and the SUTA tax. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the employee number 2. Employee number 2, they have made so far $7,900, so it's going to be 0. FUTA tax is going to be 0. Okay, so you can see right here, so far they made that amount, and the cap is only at 7,000. So for the SUTA tax, so far the person has made $7,900, and let's subtract the $9,500. Well, looks like that is the amount that is left under SUTA. Okay. What I did was I just took what they've made so far and subtracted what the max is or threshold is for SUTA. And I found out that since they've made so far $7,900, they have $1,600 left under SUTA taxes. So that's the amount that we would tax under SUTA times the 3.1%. I forgot one step. Sorry for that. They have made only 1,400, not the entire 1,600. So we're going to take that entire 1,400. Times 3.1% for a FUTA tax of SUTA tax of 43.40. And there you go. That's the first one here, our scenario. And what I'll do is then I'll come back and make another video for part 2 for calculating FUTA and SUTA.